to the Live Well 4-part yoga series that's part of May's Mental Health Month. We're going to work on a whole series focused on more purpose, less perfection. So quick intros here. I'm Cammie and I manage the Select Health Fitness Center here. That's where we're at. And I've been teaching yoga here for about 8 years. And over here is Dawn, and she has been teaching yoga at Select Health for probably over 10 years before we were even in this space. And then this is Emily, and she's been doing yoga here at Select Health for about 2 years, and she's really close to being a certified yoga instructor as well. So grateful to have these two ladies here with us. So first off, you're going to need a little bit of equipment, and you will need a yoga mat. You will need some blankets. 1 or 2 is great. You'll need a bolster or a pillow. So the bolster is this kind of big tubular pillow looking back here. And then if you have blocks or books, 2 blocks, 2 books are great as well. So any equipment that will work into that is great. So when you're choosing on how to do your yoga pose, you get to choose between what Dawn and Emily are doing or whatever feels right to your body for that day, because each day is different. And if yoga for you today is laying on your mat and listening to the yoga class, and another day you want to participate in the poses, that's what's going to work best for you. So it's all about little experiments, finding what works best for you, and then also celebrating along the way when you try new things. So let's get started with our first class today. Our class theme for today is simplicity. So we're going to start off with some basics. So let's go ahead and take a seated position on the mat. So we're going to find a nice comfortable seated position so you can use your props to set yourself up so that you're comfortable. And any leg position is good. It doesn't have to be cross-legged. And so go ahead and start so that you can feel your sit bones against the ground. So maybe do a little shifting back and forth. So we're working on simplicity today, finding a little bit of clarity. And our main focuses today are going to be on your breath and your foundation, setting up your foundation so that you can move forward. I'd like to start with a quote. It's one of my favorite quotes. Simplicity is not about deprivation. It is about a greater appreciation for things that really matter. So as you move through your practice today, start to notice what it is that matters to you in your poses, and then move forward from there. So let's go ahead and close our eyes and just start to notice your breath. Our breath is part of our foundation. And just begin to notice where you feel your breath the most. It could be in your belly, or your ribs, or your chest, or the back of your throat, or through your nostrils. And wherever you feel your breath the most, allow it to expand. As you inhale, the belly expands, and as you exhale, your belly pulls in towards your spine. Moving into a 3-part breath, let's take our right hand to our bellies. And as you inhale, the belly expands into your hand. And as you exhale, the belly pulls in. Let's take the left hand to the ribs, moving from the belly into the ribs, 2 parts now. Belly expands, then ribs expand, and then ribs pull in and belly pulls in. And you get to choose how quickly your breath happens, the speed of your own breath. And let's take one of your hands and move it to your heart. Now as you inhale, expand the lower belly, then the ribs, then the chest. And as you exhale, chest falls in, ribs fall in, belly pulls in. Continue moving with the 3-part breath. And you can keep your hands where they are, or you can bring your hands back to your thighs. And as you continue moving with your breath, begin to notice how you feel. Physically, mentally. Notice if there's any parts of your body that need a little extra care today. If anything feels tense or tight, allow the breath to move in, gather up that tension, and exhale it out. And notice what this deep breath does to your nervous system. Does it help you relax? And as you practice, it will. And this is something you can do anytime you're starting to feel overwhelmed or stressed. Take a minute and do some deep belly breathing, 3-part breath. Let's bring our hands together at our hearts. One more deep breath. And as you exhale, release your hands and open your eyes. All right, let's start to move a little bit through the shoulders, a little bit of shoulder rolls. And then go the other direction. And bring the hands to the heart. Take an inhale, send the thumbs back, squeezing the shoulder blades together, and exhale, reach forward and round through your back. Let's move through that a couple more times. Continue moving with that breath. Now, one important statistic is the number one cause of death is not breathing. So make sure that you are always checking in with your breath. Good. Go ahead and release the arms. Now that we've warmed up the upper spine a little bit, let's move forward onto all fours. Hands and knees. So in hands and knees, we want to stack our joints. It's the safest spot for our joints because we can optimize our movement here. So let's take knees under hips and wrists under shoulders. So take a moment to set yourself up and then check in that you've got nice spread fingers, wide fingers, and that you're connecting with the ground with all 10 fingers. Press through your thumb and your first finger, engage into the ground, and push through the knees. And then maybe feel the tops of your feet on your mat, or you can tuck your toes right now. So whichever feels most stable to you. So once you've set up nice and stable, you've set your foundation, you can feel the floor pushing up against you. Start to move through some cat-cows. So as you inhale, belly drops, head and tailbone lifts. And as you exhale, round up through the spine. Some movements are so simple, but they're important, and you can reconnect with areas that might be tense, not moving well. And just begin to notice in your cat and cows if you do have any stuck spots in your spine. Usually the upper spine gets pretty tight. Let's find our neutral spine again. And from neutral spine, step your right foot back so that your toes are tucked under on your mat. Good. And we're going to just start to rock forward and back. So as you press into your hands, the heel moves back, stretching through the calf. And as you push forward on the toes, move your weight forward into your hands. We tend to ignore our feet a lot. We stuff them inside shoes all day. So give your toes a little love here. See if you can feel all 5 of your toes. Move through your big toe all the way into your pinky toe. All right, let's switch legs up. Left leg goes back, toes tucked under, and start to rock forward and back. Working through the toes, working through the ankle, working through the calves. Your feet are what connect you to the ground. They send input through your body every day when you sit, stand, walk. So reconnect with your feet. I like to say shoes are coffins for your feet. It's where they go to die. Unless you need orthotics, then you need to wear your orthotics. All right, bring your knees back down. Okay, let's start to move through some hip circles. So right knee lifts and start to draw some big circles with the right knee. We'll do both directions, so it doesn't matter which way you go. See if you can keep your pelvis nice and stable while you're moving through the hip. Then let's go the other way. Continue connecting through the ground with your hands and your left knee. All right, let's switch legs. Big circles. And go the other way. All right, knees back to the mat. Let's move into a child's pose. Hips come back towards your heels. Now there's so many variations of child's pose. So take the one that feels the best to you. Because again, we're working on what feels best for your body. No one's yoga pose can or should look the same. So you can prop your head up. So in this child's pose with our first one, make sure you can connect your forehead with the ground to find some centering. So if sitting your hips back on your heels doesn't feel great, you can do what Dawn's doing and keeps hips lifted a little higher. But let's reconnect with our breath here. See if you can access your 3-part breath once again. Inhaling and expanding through the belly. And exhale, pull in. See if you can find a little clearness, a little clarity. And as you inhale, allow your belly to expand, but now see if you can expand your lower ribs as well, up towards the sky. And anytime you need to take a pause, if you need a break, this is where you can come. Now, everyone doesn't love child's pose, so you can find your own version that feels like your pause. All right, ladies, please come back up to all fours. We're going to move into a downward facing dog. So to do that, tuck your toes, lift your hips, and find your heart moving towards your knees. So let's start to pedal out the feet here, bending one knee at a time. We're going to continue warming up the feet, the ankles, but now we've got some more length moving through the hamstrings. Hands stay really connected. There's a lot of weight in your arms now. So if you need to take a break at any time, you can move into your child's pose. Let's lift up really high on the toes. See how high you can get. See if you can feel all 10 toes here. And then push the sit bones really high to the sky. Notice your inner thighs and let them move back. And then let your heels float down just part way, just a little bit. And then drop the knees back to the mat. All fours. All right, so we are going to move into a low lunge. Now, this is a pose that blocks are very useful for. So if you have your books or blocks, you'll want them close by for this pose. So go ahead, ladies, take your left foot forward between your hands. Whatever you've got to do to get there, it doesn't have to look pretty. And use your blanket if you need one for a little extra padding under your foot. And then the blocks you can set at whatever height feels best for your body. So if you have long arms, short arms, long body, you can set it up, whatever feels good. And I like using the blocks. I think they're really great. So we're going to check in with the front knee position. So when we're in our lunges, we want to check in that the knee is going to be somewhere between right over your ankle and midfoot, just not super far forward over your toes. So when we move through lunges, just be aware of that. So from your lunge, let's check in with our foundation. So really press into the ground with your front foot. Press into the ground with your back knee. And as you inhale, start to lift your heart so that maybe there's a little less weight in your hands. Fingers maybe just skimming the blocks here. And then exhale, release your arms back to your blocks. We're going to move a little further this time. As you inhale, engage with the ground and arms start to rise all the way to the sky. And then exhale into cactus arms. Good. Inhale, reach back up. And exhale, hands to your blocks. And let's switch up the feet. Right knee forward. Set yourself up. Now we talked about your toes earlier. Make sure you can feel all your toes on the front foot and the back foot as well. On your inhale, press through the ground and let your heart come up partway, taking a little weight off your hands. And then exhale, release back to your block. This time as you inhale, arms reach to the sky. And exhale into your cactus arms. Inhale, reach up. And exhale all the way back down to your blocks. Good. All right, we're going to move forward into a forward fold. So you work your way however you'd like to get there. You can use blocks. You can come back to all fours. You step forward into a forward fold. On your inhale, come partway up, so hands just above knees, and exhale, fold. So checking in our forward fold, it's really important that knees stay soft here in order to protect the lower back. So bend the knees a little bit until you feel your back release. You get to choose how much you're going to bend your knees to get your lower back to release. On the inhale, come partway up, and exhale, fold. Good. Let's take an inhale all the way to the sky. Arms reach out or up. It's up to you. Exhale, hands to your heart. Let's pause in our mountain pose and check in with your feet. So check that your feet are parallel, that your second toe lines up with your ankle. That's the parallel we're looking for, and that you're narrow hip width apart. We're going to move into a simple balance pose, which is a tree pose. So start by shifting your way into your right foot. Check in that you can feel all areas of your foot, and then take your left foot and spin it so the heel moves in and then right against your ankle. So we're continuing to press into the ground with the right foot and the left toes. So simple tree pose right here. Now if you'd like to move a little further into your tree pose, you can lift your left leg and place it on the inside of your calf. Now once you get it there, push, resist, and engage into the ground. And as you push down, you'll feel yourself rise a little taller. Good. Now, if you'd like to go a little further into your balance, your arms can reach into any position. We're moving into a tree, so you get to decide what shape your tree is today. Broadleaf, columnar, any version of tree. Good. Let's bring hands back to the hearts. And then let your knee move forward and release the foot to the ground. Good. Inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, fold. Inhale, partway up. And exhale, fold. Good. Let's take an inhale all the way to the sky. And exhale, hands to the heart. All right, let's switch sides. So plant the left foot, engage your toes, start to shift your weight into your left foot as you rotate the right knee out. And then kickstand with the heel. Good. As you push down, feel yourself rise and grow tall. Spine's nice and long. And then if you'd like, you can move your right foot up onto your calf. So anytime we do tree pose, we're either above the knee or below the knee. We're not going to do above the knee today, but just stay away from the knee joint. So push into your leg and resist. And then decide where your arms want to go. And sometimes our balance isn't as great. And maybe there's a breeze and our branches move a little bit in our tree. All right, good. Hands back to the heart. Let the knee move forward. And then release the foot to the floor. Good. Take an inhale, arms reach up. And exhale, fold all the way to the ground. Inhale, partway up. And exhale, fold. Good. We're going to move our blocks aside so that you can plant your hands on the floor and step back into a downward facing dog. We're going to pause in our downward dog for a few breaths. And everyone's downward dog is going to look and feel different. So again, when you are ready to go down to the mat, you drop your knees to the mat. Let's take a few deep breaths here. Inhaling through the belly, and then exhale, releasing. So you can find softness in a more challenging pose just by using your breath. One more full breath, and then knees come to the mat, and take a child's pose. Now we'll take a moment to reflect and celebrate on the challenging pose you just did. Downward dogs and tree poses can be a little challenging. We're moving through a process, and this 4-part series is a process. We're going to build on each class, and then you can notice what works for you, what doesn't, and adjust as you go. All right, ladies, let's move back to downward facing dog. Tuck toes, lift hips. We'll add a little movement in our downward dog this time, hips rocking side to side. So we're really trying to open up that space between your ribs and your hip bone as your hips move. And then coming back to the center of your downward dog. Drop the knees to the mat. Good. Now we're going to do the same movement on all fours. So go ahead and move head and hip side to side. Your head and hip reaching for each other. So making a C with your body. Moving through the spine. And then coming back to the center, tuck the toes, lift the hips, downward facing dog. Look forward, step forward into a forward fold. On your inhale, come partway up. And exhale, fold. Inhale, reach all the way up. And exhale, hands to your heart. We're going to move into our tree pose one more time, so you get to move at your own speed this time. Okay, so we're going to start on left foot. Shifting weight to the left foot. I'm going to let you work through each step. So bringing the foot out, picking your foot position, and then moving the arms. Maybe do your arms a little differently than you did it last time. A couple more breaths right here, so a little more bounce. So notice what your foot has to do to keep you upright. All the micro adjustments that happen. Everything in your lower legs. Little adjustments constantly happening. And then find your way out of your tree pose. Good, let's do the other side. Find your kickstand or foot pressing into your calf. Make sure you can feel the ground. The ground supports you. Push into the ground and then rise. And notice your little adjustments. And then just take note if one side feels better than the other, if one side has more balance. We are not symmetrical. And as we get older, we get less symmetrical. So yoga is going to help us find our balance physically, mentally, and keep our bodies more symmetrical. When you're ready, come out of your tree pose. All the way out. Good. Shake it out a little bit. Take an inhale, reach up. And exhale, fold. Plant your hands, step back, downward facing dog. And then take the knees to the mat and take a child's pose. Couple more breaths in your child's pose. What is your purpose for being here today, for taking this class? Just check in with yourself and identify a purpose. And if it doesn't feel authentic to you, change your purpose. All right, let's walk hands towards your knees, and then we're going to shift hips to one side so that you can make your way onto your backs. And go through some hip mobility, opening up the hips a little bit. We all get tightness in our hips. So let's take feet wide so that you can feel your pinky toes on the edges of your mat. And arms go out to the sides with your palms facing up. We're going to start to move through some windshield wipers with the knees. So just move side to side. So both knees will go to the right and then both knees to the left. And you get to choose your speed. I would just suggest not too fast. Keeping the shoulders engaged, just move through the hips really gently. And then on your next exhale, let your knees drop and fall to one side. And we're going to pause there for a couple of breaths. And then if you'd like, you can turn your head the opposite direction that your knees are going. So just a gentle twist. One more full breath here. As you inhale, bring the knees back to the center. And as you exhale, drop the knees to the other side. And again, notice if your hips felt different. If one side felt a little tighter, or if your breath can travel a little easier on one side. On your inhale, bring the knees back to the center. Then go ahead and extend the legs out in front of you. We're going to move into our Shavasana. And Shavasana is our final resting pose. It's our relaxation pose, which means you get to find a position that feels the most comfortable to you. So blankets, pillows, bolsters are really helpful here. Propping your knees up usually feels really good on your lower back. But you can find whichever position feels the best to you. And then find a spot with your arms that you can keep your palms facing up and open. We're going to start to move through a guided relaxation, a body scan today. So let your eyes be soft. You can keep them open or closed, but just allow them to be soft. And start to notice your feet. Notice where your heels, your feet touch the ground. Just the pressure. Moving up your calves, allow your calves to relax. Moving up your upper thighs. And then where your pelvis meets the ground. Feel the weight of your pelvis and allow your hips to relax. Notice your belly. As you exhale, let your belly sink into the floor. Moving up your mid-back to your upper back. Feel the weight of your shoulders, your upper back against the ground. And make any adjustments you need to allow more relaxation, more softness through the shoulders and the neck. Now notice the back of your head touching the floor. Allow some softness in your eyes, relaxation in your cheek, your mouth. Let your entire body sink into the floor. It may feel like a soft bed that you're sinking into, or it may feel like a lightness, like on a cloud. Let your whole body relax and sink. Let your breath become more natural. And if you find that your mind begins to wander, just bring it gently back to your breath. This is your time to pause, your time to step away. Everything else in your life can be left for a few moments. Now start to deepen your breath. Notice the rise of your belly as you inhale. Notice the sinking of the belly as you exhale. Add some gentle movement to your fingers and your toes. Then take a bend to the knees and roll over onto one side. Let's pause a few moments on your side. And then press into the ground. Allow the ground to push you back up, finding your way back to a comfortable seated position. Let's bring our hands together at our hearts. Let your eyes be soft. Clarity about what matters produces clarity about what does not. Thank you for joining me today. Namaste.